Okay, hello girls, hello guys. We're going to start our geography class. This class may be a bit longer than the rest of them because we have a lot of topics to see. We need to finish our discussion from last class, and we are also going to see this first culture, which is the Olmec culture. But well, let's start. Remember that we were talking about diffusionism, that this concept of Middle America was developed through the idea of diffusionism. And what is diffusionism? Well, remember that we said that it is this idea of having a mother culture, in this case the Olmecs, and that mother culture is going to be spreading all its influences and all its knowledge and all, well, its civilization. In this case, I always tell you not to use this word, and it is right, do not use it. But by these times, they were using this word, and actually, it is the main idea that is going to be discussed here in Middle America. So civilization is going to be spread through one mother culture or more than one mother culture. In this case, it is going to be the Olmec culture, and through the Olmec culture, everything with the Mayan culture, everything in Oaxaca, in the central region, and from the classic and on from the classic and further, and that is mainly the classic and post-classic, also in the western area. But remember that diffusionism has big issues, and we're going to be discussing that in the first part of this class. Remember that this is the article, the original article of Paul Kirchhoff's, sorry, and Paul Kirchhoff was the archaeologist that developed this idea about Middle America. And this over here in the left part, I am presenting you a screenshot of the original article in which he is defining Middle America. All these characteristics, all these elements, and that is the issue, right? That we're talking about elements. All these elements are the elements that are going to be defining Middle America. When you find these elements, you may be sure, or according to this definition, you may be sure that you're talking about Middle America. And of course, we have some things, some of the things we're going to be going through today. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to take long because, as I was telling you, I am taking quite a bit longer than we usually do. I don't find it over here, but it is about the system of counting. I remember that we had it over here. Wait a second. Okay. Let's see. Here. Signs for numbers and relative number for these numbers according to the position. We're going to be seeing this by the end of the class. The special signs that we have in Middle America for numbers, and mainly this thing over here, that is that the value is going to be relative according to the position. So we're going to be seeing that by the end of the class, as I was telling you. Remember that we also saw all these iconographic, all these stylistic traces, all these stylistic elements that are going to be repeating throughout Middle America. Remember this B cut over here, this cut with the shape of a B in the top part of the head, this flame-like eyebrows, this cross over here that is going to be representing, remember, the entrance to the mountain, or the mouth of the monster of the mountain. If you can see here, actually we are having represented the monster of the mountain. We have over here the eyes, the eyebrows, and the mouth, and also this shape over here, like a square. Is like the gums of the monster. So it is also going to be represented throughout Middle America, and according to archaeologists, and I want to be clear, according to archaeologists, this is representing the gums or the mouth of the monster of the earth. So we have also this figure over here, but we are going to see it with more clarity later when we see the Olmecs. Again, you can see these flame-like eyebrows over here, the big cut, and the eyebrows over here, and can you see here the gums? this shape that is representing the gums over here. Also, these kind of fingers, kind of feathers that we're going to see also in other kind of pottery. All these elements are going to be representative of Middle America. And the thing is, well, those are elements, and I want to be really clear on that. This is the discussion by this point of the class. These are elements. All of these are just elements. They are not related between each other. They are just elements. And Paul Kirchhoff is actually very clear on that. They are elements. I am not worrying myself. This definition about Middle America is not concerned about cultures as a whole, and that is a problem because if you remember when we saw the first definitions of culture, mainly the one of Taylor, said that culture is a whole, something complete. It is not just elements, it is a whole, something complete. And also, Malinowski was saying that culture is a complete system in which every part is related to another. So it is a problem to define cultures just by elements or traces because those elements or traces are not related, and that is what we are going to be discussing today. Over here you have very clearly this idea of diffusionism. If you see over here in the lower part, we have one of the masks, the human form mask that we saw last class. In here you have the bee cut, the flame like eyebrows, the mouth, the animal like mouth. And in here you can very clearly see the idea of diffusionism because all over here we're going to have in the right part all this line that is going up to the right, and we're going to be having the Maya culture. All these representations are from the Maya culture, and over here in the middle, in the central part, we're going to be having the Teotihuacan culture. All the people from Teotihuacan, all these drawings come from Teotihuacan, and this one over here, this one that is going all the way up over here, well, these are the Aztecs, so this is the line that is going to be followed by the Aztecs. Well, over here we have something from the Epic Classic, but do not be concerned about that. And over here, of course, we have everything from Oaxaca, all the Zapotec culture. So they are being really, really clear on telling you with this image that that idea of diffusionism, that from the Olmec culture, all the other cultures are going to be taking these traces. Okay, so those traces, in order to see that idea of diffusionism, that idea about how they are just elements, I left you this activity, and so one of you actually told me, well, this activity is about using your imagination and being creative, and not quite, actually not quite, but we're going to be trying to deconstruct this concept of Middle America, just as we deconstructed that concept about civilization in the first trimester. We're going to be doing something really similar to that. So what is that we're going to be doing? Well, you had this activity in which I told you you have a circle and you have a triangle, and just play with them, move them around, and try to give me as much figures as you are able to get. So over here I am including you most of them. I didn't include all of them because you sent me a lot, and many of them were repeated, and also some of them weren't really easy to be seen in the screen, so sorry if I didn't include yours, but all of them were really good, and I was really, really amazed on all the different expressions that you were able to conclude using just these two elements, a circle and a triangle. So over here we can start, as you can see here, and also here we have a lot of ice creams. I also thought immediately about ice creams, a deflating balloon as it was defined by the author, several arrows that can be made just using two triangles, a wizard, also several of you used a wizard, a ball coming down a ramp as also the author defined this, coming down a slope. I think this is a lock from a door or something. This is a location pin. This is pretty interesting for me actually because it requires a very specific context to be meaning location pin, so it is really interesting. An exclamation mark. This one is a dog over here, a cat, of course a boy and a girl. Yes, many of you also draw girls. We have another girl over here. This flower is really interesting. I liked it a lot. It is a nice concept and uses of triangles. Many of you actually gave me this kind of butterfly over here, so I only included this one. But this one was one of the most repeated images of all. Some grapes, that is good. If you can see, the grapes are the circles and the leaves are the triangles. And also, this one is really interesting because look, over here, I think this is an apple or a tomato. I don't remember. No, this is an apple, I think, and this one over here is a tomato, and this one over here is an orange. So the only thing that is changing, well, of course, the leaves over here, but mainly the only thing that is changing over here is the color. So if you have a different color, you have a different fruit, and that is really interesting in terms of what we're going to be discussing today. Also, a beach balloon, a little chicken that is cute. Um, what do we have over here? More ice cream, pizza. You several of you also drew pizza, and that is really nice. This one is really funny. It's supposed to be Mike Wazowski, and according to the way I remember things, Mike Wazowski doesn't have a triangular eye, but that is really nice too. This concept was really good. It is repeated over here and also over here, and it is a mountain with the sun. This one has the sun to the side, and this one has the sun in the back part of the mountain. But that is really interesting. I really enjoyed that one. Another wizard. These ones were really funny. I didn't quite understood what they were representing, but they made me laugh a lot. This one actually, I only see it and it makes me laugh. It is really really good. They are really funny. This one I also liked it a lot. A tank, a war tank, because some of the first designs about tanks were, well, not exactly like this, but they had something similar to this one. This one is really good. It is a fractal, okay? So you could also do some mathematical shapes using these figures. But I'm going to focus a lot in this one. This one for me was really interesting for what we are going to be discussing. So before seeing more images, and actually I only included these ones, let's go directly to the discussion of today's class. So what I am going to be presenting to you today in the first part of the class before we enter the actual Olmecs is going to be this idea of science, and it is quite, well, it is more or less a new idea within science, that is emergentism. And I am going to be opposing this idea of emergentism to this idea of diffusionism. According to what I am going to be explaining to you today, this idea of emergentism is going to be um, absolutely denying this idea of diffusionism. We are not going to be continuing with the idea of diffusionism because of what we are going to be seeing today about emergentism. But what is emergentism? And the reason because of which I asked you to do these figures, and it is not just for you to be creative, it is good if you are creative, but there is a deeper reason. As one of my favorite cooks always says, there is method in the madness. So it may seem silly, it may seem like madness that I am asking you to do all these drawings using circles and triangles, but there is method to the madness. So what is that method to the madness? Well, emergentism is about, you can say that you have emergentism when you have emergent or new properties. But what are those emergent or new properties? What do I mean when I am talking about emergent or new properties? Well, the idea is this one. A system is a collection of elements, right? But not only a collection of elements, but those elements are related to each other. They work together, they have interactions, they have relations between them. So, as the elements of a system interact, their relations and interactions give birth to new properties. So, the idea is that you may have different elements, but as those elements interact and establish different relations, those relations are going to end up having or producing new properties. And these new properties are emergent properties. And this is the idea. Emergent means that it starts, that it is, that it appears. Yes, imagine that. You have some elements, and or imagine this, the idea that we began with in the year. Do you remember the ants? Well, the ants are the parts of the systems, but as the ants interact and as the ants relate to each other, they're going to have some emergent properties. For example, the ants are going to be telling other ants that you put sugar in the floor, so those ants are going to be coming towards the sugar. And what is the emergent properties? Well, social behavior.